Ladies and gentlemen, meet the brand new 2015 Toyota Camry. But this one, oh yes, this one's a little special. It's a brand new model, the XSE. It's the sportiest of the bunch. 18-inch wheels, paddle shifters, sports tuned suspension. And guess what we're gonna do? That's right, we're gonna take it for a ride, and that is coming up next on the Fast Lane Car. Toyota says there are 1,900 change points. Of course, that's a little bit of corporate speak to try to emphasize that this car is relatively all new. Obviously, it's very much different from the outside. It's sportier, it's sexier, it's more youthful, and that's what Toyota's going for. Perhaps the biggest difference is this new corporate, well, let's call it a maw. It's pretty big and it's pretty prominent. I'll leave it up to you to decide if you like it or not. All right, let's take the Camry for a ride and see how the sportiest of the brand does on the road. Now let's face it, the Camry has always been kind of the car that your friend's parents drove, right? This is a car that represents perhaps the most widest spectrum of the automobile world. In other words, it's designed to be everything to everyone, and for the most part, they've succeeded. The problem with that theory today is that when you try to be everything to everyone, you can also become nothing to no one. And I think Toyota recognizes that, and that's why they've introduced what is now a much sportier and a much more personality-driven Camry. This car has, at least from the outside, more visual presence. It makes a bolder statement, but does it drive like it looks? Let's find out. Yeah, not bad, not bad, you know. Is it sporty? Yes. Is it thrilling? No. Is it a car that stirs the soul to passion? No, of course, it's not a Challenger, but that's not what this car is about. In the business, this is called a mid-cycle refresh. In other words, the interior is different, the exterior is different, but the powertrain's the same. In this case, a 3.5-liter V6 that puts out 268 horsepower and 248 pound-foot of torque. It's paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and since this is the sporty model, we've got paddle shifters. We also have a combined 25 mpg. I think what they're trying to do with this is trying to make it just a little bit more interesting and a little bit more youthful, and I think they've succeeded in general. But I've driven a lot of Camrys, and at the end of the day, when I get behind the wheel, even though it's nicer in here, and even though it's sexier, I guess that's the right word, bolder on the outside, at the heart, it's still a Camry, which is a good thing, because once again, when your friend's parents buy a Camry, they're not looking to get a Challenger. They're looking to get a car that they can take on the family vacation, take to church, take grocery shopping, and just really have a car that is going to provide a lot of value for their money, and that's what this car does. has cleaned up the interior, and I like it. It's much more youthful, much more functional, much more ergonomically correct. And for this XSE model, it's also a combination of both sport and luxury. And get this, you can put the transmission into manual mode and then use the paddle shifters, but don't get too excited. The computer will still override your shift points if it thinks you're going to damage the powertrain.
Well, as we did with the exterior, we have a large scale of change in the interior. If you look to the left, you're going to see some controls for our new advanced driver assistance systems, such as the blind spot monitor with cross traffic alert, adaptive radar cruise control, a lane departure alert. But then if you look past the steering wheel there into your gauge area, we've got an all-new multi-information display that tells you some great information about the car, such as, in this case here, which door is actually open on the car. It'll tell you your individual tire pressures, and you can even customize the accent colors on there as an owner.
Nice. And one of the kind of segment first is the ability to actually charge your cell phone just by putting it into the little cubby hole, right?
Exactly. If you go over to the center stack there, you're going to see an all-new audio system with a revised bezel design. The clock has been moved off the dash into the audio system. Moving down past the heater AC controls, though, into that storage area, that's where your wireless charging is at. And we've also changed the location of all of our plug-in points for USB and aux to make them easier to get to, too, for ergonomics.
Now, the segment has become a lot more competitive recently. So you've got cars like the Fusion, which offer all-wheel drive. You've got cars like the Toyota Honda Hybrid, which offer better fuel economy. And the rest of the competition is nipping at the heels of the Camry in a very serious way. So Toyota had to do something, but the problem is, did they do enough? And I think they did. This is the 7th generation Toyota Camry, the most popular sedan in America. In fact, Toyota has sold over 10 million of these in its lifetime. Let me put that into perspective. That means that every hour, 50 people are buying a Camry in the US. One thing I would say is, yeah, front wheel spin, all that weight in the front, it still pushes. Yeah, it's not a sporty car. It's probably a little bit sportier than it was, but... And you do have the paddle shifters, so it is entertaining. I'm going to put you on the spot, see if you remember this. What's the average age of the buyer of the SE? Not the XSE, because that's new, the SE. Oh, I'm going to put them on the spot. All right, that's not fair. It's 45 years old. Is it 45?
I was going to say 45 or 47. It's younger than me, which pisses me off. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But it is younger, and that's one of the things we're looking to do too, is we're not only looking to offer new grades for the car, but we are looking to bring in new customers that maybe perhaps hadn't considered Camry before and give them an exciting vehicle that looks exciting, drives exciting, but still maybe fits their lifestyle.
You know, the Toyota Camry has always been that kid in the classroom that's exceptionally smart, exceptionally talented, and exceptional at all things. And that can be a difficult crown to wear because it also draws a lot of competition. And really that's where Toyota's at right now with this Camry. They've made it perhaps too successful, if I can say that. And now they're trying to build on that much success. Have they succeeded? Yeah, sure they have. I mean, this is their bread and butter. They're not going to mess this up. Chances are, if you own a Camry, you probably own the 4-cylinder, and the new 2015 model starts at about $23,000. This one, the all-out sporty XSE, $31,000, but it can get relatively expensive when you add all the electronic goodies. And by the way, there are a lot of electronic goodies, including lane departure, blind side monitoring, all that kind of stuff that most modern sedans now come equipped with. On the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, I'm going to say, I don't know. I've only driven it for about 25 minutes, and that's not fair to you, and that's not fair to Toyota. So you'll have to come back when we have a chance to spend an entire week with it. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Car. Check out tflcar.com for more news, views, and everyday reviews. Ciao. Perhaps the one part where this is lacking, or at least the exterior doesn't match the driving dynamics, is the steering feel. In essence, there is none. All right, that's being very harsh. There is steering feel, but it's very limited. You know the front wheels are out there, but you don't know necessarily exactly where they're at. And you know what? I think that's fine. People aren't buying this car because they want to cut corners like I'm doing right now. People are buying this car because they want to enjoy a drive to church on Sunday with plenty of room and plenty of comfort. And this car does that. It also adds that full suite of technology features that people demand nowadays. So we've got a blind spot monitoring, cross traffic alert, got that kind of adaptive braking if it sees a car in front of you, and if you haven't hit the brakes, it'll actually do that for you. So yeah, Toyota's tried to do two things. They've tried to make it more youthful and more fun, and they've also tried to bring it up to where the competition is, and in most part they've succeeded.